Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon Giraud, your resident skeptic who asks all the tough questions. And with me is Jennifer Neal, our manifesting maestro. Whether you're rolling your eyes or raising your vibration, we dive into all things manifestation, mindset, and energy from every side. Hit subscribe, settle in, and get ready for spirited debates, surprising experiments, and laughter on the journey to creating a life you love. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Manifest This. It's just me, Sharon, today. I'm going to give a few thoughts around the subject of the comfort of certainty and why we believe things that aren't actually true. I'm not joined by Jennifer today, that believer that I can push back against. And I just thought I'd give you a few thoughts on this. So, do you know what's strange? Most of us say that we really value truth. We say we want facts. We want evidence. We want proof. But if you actually watch how people behave, truth often loses to something far more powerful, comfort. Because certainty feels good. Not accurate certainty, just certainty. Normally on this show, Jennifer plays the believer and I play the skeptic. But today she's not here, which means I'm left alone with an interesting problem. What happens when the skeptic no longer has a believer to push against? Well, I suppose I'm just going to have to create one, because the believer voice is never really absent. It lives in all of us. So why does certainty feel so good? I'm going to start with something honest. Doubt is exhausting. Living in uncertainty requires mental energy. You have to constantly ask questions like, is that true? What evidence supports it? Could I be wrong? And that cognitively is very expensive. So our human brain looks for shortcuts. Psychologists call them cognitive biases. I call them mental comfort food. Once we adopt a belief, whether it's politics, health, money, religion, or even our own personality, something strange starts to happen. We just stop evaluating it and we start just defending it. The brain shifts from truth seeking to belief protection. In other words, we stop asking, is this correct? And start asking, how do I prove that I'm right? And that is a completely different mission. And it's how intelligent people end up believing very questionable things. So let's talk about the believer voice. Let me try something. I'm going to temporarily play the believer. And here's what that voice sounds like in my head. Well, this is what I believe and it works for me. You hear that sentence everywhere. It sounds reasonable. It sounds tolerant. It sounds modern. But hidden inside that sentence is a very quiet assumption that belief and truth are interchangeable. And quite frankly, they're not. The earth didn't become round when people started believing that it was. It was round long before anybody ever accepted it. Reality does not vote. Now, here's where the believer usually pushes back. They'll say, well, some things can't be proven, so belief is all we have. And that's partially true. But there's a difference between holding a belief lightly and protecting a belief fiercely. One is intellectual humility. The other is intellectual territory. And those beliefs, well, they can become identity. And that's when things become dangerous, because beliefs stop being ideas and start becoming identity. Because once a belief becomes part of who you are, questioning it feels like a personal attack. If someone challenges the belief, it feels like they're challenging you. And at that point, conversation ends. The goal's no longer discovery. The goal is defense. In history, it's full of moments where this happens. We've got scientific revolutions. We've got political ideologies. We've even got health trends. At first, a new idea might threaten the old one. And the defenders of the old belief will react with outrage. Not curiosity, outrage. Why? Well, because certainty is comfortable and comfort is addictive. So, what's the real job of a skeptic? I think here's the part that people often misunderstand. A skeptic isn't someone who believes nothing. A skeptic is someone who keeps the door open, open to being wrong, open to new evidence, open to revising a position. And that's not weakness, it's an intellectual maintenance. Think of it sort of as cleaning the windows of your mind. If you never question your beliefs, they slowly become opaque. That's why I love curiosity. So today, the believer didn't show up, but maybe that's appropriate because the believer voice never really disappears. It's always there, it's inside of all of us, and that part wants certainty. That part wants comfort, and that part says, stop questioning things. This feels good enough. And the skeptic's job is simply to ask one more question, just one, because the most dangerous moment in thinking is not when we don't know the answer, it's when we're absolutely sure we do. Those are my thoughts for today. It's the other side of the believer versus skeptic. Some thoughts from the skeptic. Looking forward to chatting with you again in the very near future. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with a friend, believer or skeptic. And don't forget to leave us a review so others can join in the debate. Plus, check out Jennifer's TikTok account, Manifestation RX, where she writes daily prescriptions for manifesting your dreams. Think practical tips with a dash of magic. We love hearing your questions and stories, so tell us what you're manifesting or questioning this week. Until next time, keep an open mind and maybe manifest a little magic.